Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing great. We're going to talk about the auto industry right now. Now we're not going to be talking about GMC, Chevy, or my favorite Corvette. Haven't gotten that yet, still waiting. But we're going to talk about Teslas. We're going to go cruise by this Chevy dealership because I'm going to show you back here. This dealership, it may look like there's not a lot of cars, but ironically, right now, there is probably about in the last 2 months, about a 300% increase in the amount of vehicles they have for sale. So it's starting to pick up. Now, some dealers are better than others, and that just comes, quite frankly, down to management, right? How they deal with the amount of units they're moving. A unit means a vehicle. Throughout the year, throughout the months, things like that, you know, how many they get allotted. But by and large, every dealer I'm seeing in my local area, besides Kia, is filling up. Now, we're going to talk about Tesla because I think this is a massive, massive sign of the times, all right? I'm going to show you a couple different things now that I locked my phone. All right, so this is out of Bloomberg because you guys have seen that Tesla stock's been imploding lately, right? They've got a big problem because shareholders are selling off stock. We saw a lot of turmoil with the shares because of what's going on in the auto industry. And this story out of Bloomberg is interesting. Tesla fans keep buying, unbowed by the $720 billion wipeout. It says here, even the worst year ever for Tesla Inc., shares hasn't shaken individual investors' faith in the electric vehicle maker and its billionaire chief executive officer, Elon Musk. Very, very interesting, right? Regardless of the facts, right? And I'm going to show you a story right here, which are facts. Although ironically, it's out of the New York Post. It says used Tesla prices drop nearly 20% as flippers can't find buyers. It says the days of paying a premium for a used Tesla are seemingly in the rearview mirror as demand for the pioneering electric vehicle plummets. It says the price of a used Tesla has plunged 17% in the past 5 months, from a peak of $67,000 in July to $55,000 in November, according to a Reuters report. During that same period, overall price of used cars, it says during the same period, the overall price of used cars dropped just 4%. So right there, the used price of a Tesla has plummeted in comparison to the used price of a standard vehicle, like what you're seeing right now as we're walking by. Now, what will that, think about this, what will that do to the price, sorry, it's getting a little windy out here, the used price, what will that do to the new price of Teslas? Well, that will also cause them to drop. Now, you saw I did a video about a week ago how Tesla is giving incentives. I believe it's what, $7,500 rebates now to buy a new car, new Tesla. That is proof positive that the car market, the new auto industry, is plummeting. We're seeing stories about the used cars, but now we're seeing new cars. I gave you also an example of a family member of mine that went and bought a Toyota and had an over 800 credit score, and the best they could qualify for was an interest rate in the 4% range. And sadly, literally 2 weeks later, I think it was even less than 2 weeks later, Toyota Financing came out with a deal for that exact car at a fixed rate of 2%. I was heartbroken for my family member because there are some people that can't save up and pay cash. They just can't. Now, ironically, my family member does have enough to pay cash, but is holding their money for a very special reason, and that is getting ready for this real estate collapse. So for that, I totally understand why they made that decision. And they said, look, I know how much the cost of financing is going to be. It's a fixed amount. They know if they pay all the payments on time, this is the worst it's going to be. And they said, I believe that I'm going to get more bang for my buck if I hold on to my cash and get ready for a downturn in the market and buy myself an apartment or a condominium. And I said, you know what? That's great thinking. But you have to look at markets right now and how they're being treated. Really, the only people that are going onto these lots and buying cars are two types of people. One type are people that have to buy a new car, like my family member, because the one they had, they ran into the ground. They owned it for a decade, literally ran into the ground and said, look, now it's the cost of fixing it is way past the value of the car and even past the value of like the interest rate on a new car. So they go and buy it. They have no choice. They were good with their money. They had to buy something. The other group are people that have no concept what's going on in the auto industry, and they are literally going, everything's great. I have a job today. I got money. I'm going to go out and buy a car. And so you got to think about that group of people and how damaging that could be later on as they buy the car, it rolls off the showroom floor and just plummets in value. So now think about that. We're talking about Teslas. We're not talking about GMs. We're not talking about Chevy. We're talking about Tesla, a car company that has been in the news to say every day and has been making massive strides is an understatement, right? You are now seeing the king of auto sales, auto marketing, all that stuff start to come off the top. So that shows you what is coming next for every car company, especially those like Kia that have had and Hyundai that have had a horrible time logistically getting cars to consumers. So they are losing customers left and right. I think this is such an exciting time to get ready, to be prepared and not scared. And yes, I've got my dream cars, I've got my dream trucks ready to go. The only choice that's gonna set me and you apart from being a success and not a failure is patience. All right, guys, that being said, the cops are coming for me. The Economic Ninja is out.